Look at what's happening in Bangladesh. Look at the way that anti-India rhetoric which they used so successfully in their coup and in the aftermath of the coup. And now you have the brother of one of the activists, the key activists, who was the architects of that July 2024 uprising, now directly attacking Yunus.
Well, I think these suspicions were there from the beginning, and we have to remember one thing, that Hadi, as the leader of Inkilab Mancha, he was neither part of the NCP, nor part of the BNP, nor part of the Jamaat Islamic. So he was leading his own independent political entity, and he was scheduled or supposed to contest from Dhaka 8 parliamentary constituency. And his opponents, we are allegedly, I mean, the one of the Jamaati Islami student leader, Sadiq Khaim, as well as the BNP leader, Mirza Abbas. So, because he did not belong to any particular political party, so he was always a suspect, and it could be the political work of any political person in Dhaka, simply because they want to eliminate Hadi, because Hadi was too popular and he could have cut votes. So that's why I think Hadi was eliminated by his own colleagues to ensure that, he cannot contest the elections. And if you look at the investigation so far, there is a clear statement from the police officials in Dhaka saying that they cannot confirm actually whether the killers had fled to India. But if you look at it from the beginning, they're saying that the killer had fled to India, but that's not the case. And now you have the exposure by actually Hadi's own brother, because they know that the persons who had killed uh, Hadi, we are actually connected with the political powers in Dhaka, and he was not such a powerful actor in that sense to, have influence beyond one particular constituency. So, Osman Hadi's, primacy was one on, particular Dhaka 8th seat, and that is not enough to influence the elections in Bangladesh out of this 300 odd seats. Then in that case, who would have killed? I mean, it's very clear that, it was a job which was done from inside by his own partners who are part of the July movement. And of course, Yunus government tried to abuse the whole killing to put the blame on India. I think the only mistake which they did, and which did not go as per plan, is the burning down of the Daily Star and the Protomalo's office. Because once the Daily Star and the Protomalo offices were burned down, the entire international community had to come around, inspect it. The EU ambassador has visited, the France ambassador has visited. So many people across the world had spoken about it. So they are slightly now caught off guard on that particular front. So that's why they are making right noises, because the charges are against them with respect to the killing of Hadi, as well as with respect to suppressing, media freedom, human rights violations, which was under the carpet. All those actors who are questioning Yunus today, they had maintained absolute silence. But the burning down of Protomalo and Daily Star's offices, it left no other options but for everybody to condemn Yunus. So he's basically looking for a way out in the interim period. But that is not to say that he has changed his position vis-a-vis India.
Yeah, that doesn't change because the entire ecosystem which has taken over the ruling of Bangladesh, the entire ecosystem has an anti-India rhetoric. It's built on that. But what I'm trying to understand is that, with all of this turmoil continuing, is Yunus trying to delay elections in Bangladesh?
Well, I mean, the one thing is absolutely clear, that Yunus doesn't want to leave power. If he wanted to leave power, then he would have, organized the elections long time back, possibly within the first 6 months of the interim government. The fact that he has dragged on, to power on different excuses, including the reforms, basically makes it very clear that he wants to remain in power. And we always have to remember that apart from the parliamentary elections, which lead to the formation of the next government of Bangladesh. He is also holding the referendum on that particular day on the July Charter, and the July Charter gives more power to the president. So he is looking forward to some kind of arrangement where he will be the next president of Bangladesh, exercise undue influence and control over a parliamentary government. And with respect to that, he has either two options: either to delay the elections if he is convinced that he is not in a position to hold on to power if he holds free and fair elections. So therefore, he would like to delay the elections. Otherwise, he would try to rig the elections. And at this point of time, because of the internal pressure, because of the international pressure, because of the burning down of the Protamalu and the Daily Star, he is actually, I would say he would be looking for an opportunity to delay the elections. And I won't be surprised if the 1 month deadline, which has been given by Usman Hadi's brother and Inkilab Mancha, that 1 month after, if you cannot get hold of the accused and conclude the trial, then we will, come to streets. Then those street protests could still be used to delay the elections.
Okay. Suhas, one thing that India needs to be watching out for is this growing turmoil and the lack of control that Mohammad Yunus himself seems to be, and the government, the interim government in Bangladesh seems to be having over its own affairs. You have the media now coming out and saying something that India has been saying right from the beginning when this interim government took charge, and that is targeted attacks and persecution of minorities in Bangladesh, especially the Hindu minority in Bangladesh. There are protests raging on in India today as we speak across Bangladesh diplomatic missions for the continuing attacks are brutal. They're getting worse by the day with the kind of videos that are emerging. And here you have a situation that is a powder keg of a situation. And there you need to have international intervention. That's what it's going towards. It's looking like.
Well, I think India has been some kind of an ambivalent position. This position, despite certain statements on the attacks on the Hindu minorities, position has not been very clear. They are still thinking, or they are still in the mode that there is some way out where they could find a middle path as far as the government of Bangladesh is concerned. But I think that is not going to work out so long you have, former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is in India. But you cannot also have a situation where Awami League is absolutely obliterated as a political party in Bangladesh. My fear is the violence against the Hindu minorities have still not started. The violence against Hindu minorities will start essentially after the filing of the nominations, scrutiny of the nominations, by middle of January or end of January, when the campaigning starts. At that point of time, Hindus will, in a way, face tremendous amount of attacks from the organized Muslim fanatics because they will use the election violence as a means or as an excuse to attack the Hindus. And Muhammad Yunus actually on 5th September 2024 had said that whatever attacks had taken place after the fall of Hasina, we are due to the fact that Hindus, we are supporters of the Awami League. So it's very clear that they are going to use those excuses when the election campaign starts. The political violence which takes place between the parties, whether it's BNP and the Jamaat Islami NCP, will be used actually to target the Hindus. But because India has a policy that will use the border fencing, will not allow the Hindus to come and come to India, and Hindus should fight back in Bangladesh without necessarily any kind of support from India. I think they are in a terrible situation.
Okay, but so as the thing is that across the border, when you have a situation in a country that's volatile, it's a security risk. It's a national security risk for India through the borders, isn't it?
Well, it's absolutely a security risk. India cannot undermine the fact that in the last 1 year and 4 months, Pakistan's ISI has already stepped into Bangladesh. Turkey's, organizations are there. So there's a security risk. There are clear-cut cases of training by the Islamists in the Chittagong Hill Tracts region, especially in Bandabad district. And if you have followed the news, in the last 1.5 year, this 10 division of the Bangladesh army in the Ruma cantonment and in the Cox's Bazar, they have been very busy to facilitate the in a way the visit of the Pakistan's ISI, and it is thought that in fact on 9th and 11th of December there was a meeting which was organized by the Pakistan's the ZFI, which involved one of the local terror organizations supported by the Bangladesh government, that's the Janasamati Samiti, then ARSA, which is the Rohingya organizations, and couple of Indian or anti-Indian organizations. A meeting took place in Cox's Bazar between 9 to 11th of December. So these are things I think which should be worrying in India and is an absolute national security risk.
Absolutely. We have Ambassador Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, with us on the broadcast as well. Ambassador Veena Sikri, we were just discussing, with Mrs. Suhas Chakma that this is a national security risk for India. The situation in Bangladesh per se, look at how out of control it's getting, especially with, Osman Hadi's brother now saying it's Mohammed Yunus who got my brother killed.
I think one has to recognize that the root cause of this problem is, number one, that it was not a revolution or a student uprising. It was a regime change operation. And the Jamaat-e-Islami is now in control, and Mohammed Yunus is their spokesperson. They did not want to organize elections at all. They wanted it to be 4 years without elections for reforms. But the people insisted on elections. And now in the election process, the Jamaat is getting together all the Islamist groups and wanting them to get to power. But they are also obsessed with the anti-India process. And I think one faction in the Yunus regime wants the elections to be postponed using an anti-India excuse. So the moment Osman Hadi was shot at, the Indian High Commissioner was called in and told that, India is responsible and the killer has gone there. The government itself, the Yunus regime itself, has had to eat its own words, because the Home Advisor said yesterday or day before in a meeting that we don't know who the killer is and there's no evidence he's gone to India.